On one side, you got people who believe that nothing is impossible and you can achieve anything with hard work and praying to God. People on the other side believe that genetics determine everything and anyone with a little amount of muscle is on steroids. Here, it is important to understand what factors are controlled by genetics. The first one is the bone structure. How long and thick the bones are is determined by genetics, and there is nothing that can be done to change that. Generally, wide shoulders and narrow waist are considered to be better for aesthetics. This is something beyond one's control. Yes, training the shoulders makes them wide, but it does not make a big difference. Brian Buchanan is a good example of someone with extremely wide shoulders and a tiny waist. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Vin Diesel, Jason Statham have wide shoulders and wide waists. The length of the arms also plays a big role in strength. Long arms are favorable for deadlifting, simply because the person does not have to bend over a lot. Short arms are favorable for bench pressing, again because it reduces the range of motion. Limb length affects exercises like the squat. People with longer legs and short torsos will prefer low bar squatting, while people with shorter legs will prefer high bar squatting and would be able to stay upright during the execution of the movement. When it comes to calisthenics, taller guys will generally find it more difficult. If you keep a tall pencil vertically on the table, it will fall easily. In exercises like the planche, front and back levers, tall guys will have difficulty balancing. The next factor is muscle insertions. A great way to check your muscle insertions, as recommended by internet experts, is to see how many fingers you can put in the gap between the forearm and the bicep. The smaller the gap, the better genetics you have. The internet experts then give the example of Arnold Schwarzenegger to motivate people, saying that he had a bicep gap and still he became Mr. Olympia. But this test is highly suboptimal, as the bicep is not the only muscle in the body. This test does not check other muscles like the legs, shoulders, chest, back, triceps, forearms, and neck. Some people may have good bicep insertions, but other body parts may have poor insertions. Arnold probably has the best pectorals in the world, even though his biceps might be slightly less than perfect. His chest is the best the bodybuilding community has witnessed. The finger gap test is only good for checking bicep genetics. However, muscle insertions do play a big role in how aesthetic a physique looks. Generally, bigger muscle bellies and less gap between the muscle insertion and the joint are considered more aesthetic. The number of abs a person has is also genetic. All of this is not the person's control. The next factor, which is in the person's control to some extent, is muscle size. Some people are born with big muscles, like Louis here, who weighed 18 pounds at birth. Generally, people born with big muscles get even bigger after resistance training. But some people do not respond well to training. Some people are not born with big muscles, but with resistance training, they start growing fast and can even surpass the people who had bigger muscles by birth. Some people grow muscles at a very slow rate, but with 10 to 15 years of training, they develop big muscles. And some minority of people with poor genetics just do not grow. Also, muscle gain has diminishing results. People put on a good amount of muscle in the first couple of years of training, but after that, the results slow down. This factor is in the person's control to some extent. Resistance training is required to build muscle. Yes, one person will build more muscle than the other person, but both have to train to build that muscle. They have to train for a few years to know how good their genetics are. If after 10 years of training, one puts on 40 pounds of muscle and the other one puts on 20 pounds, then they can say that I have better genetics than my friend. Hormones and average testosterone levels are genetic. Naturally, Testosterone does not have an impact on muscle size. People with lower testosterone can build more muscle than people with higher testosterone if they have more muscle fibers. People with more type 1 muscle fibers have better endurance, even though they will not put on a lot of muscle mass. This is beneficial for endurance sports, if not for aesthetics. Also, how a person will respond to steroids is determined by genetics, and the ability to push through the burning sensation and do 5, 10, or 15 more reps is also genetics. The ability to tolerate pain is genetic. So, yes, genetics is everything. No matter how hard one person trains, one cannot build more muscle than his genetic limit. A person with poor genetics can train till he bleeds, take steroids, and still get nowhere near to what Ronnie Coleman achieved naturally. All of these factors are important if one wants to compete in bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, and other sports. But for average people, none of this matters. No one will say, I won't talk to you because you have a 5 finger gap in your bicep. Working out is for improving health, living a long and happy life without getting bedridden or having to rely on medicines. Here, ripped abs, 20-inch arms, 4 plate bench press do not come into play. Unless you are planning to compete, do not even think about genetics. Even if aesthetics are the primary goal, people with average genetics can develop a good physique after years of training. A person can look impressive without huge muscles. Brad Pitt and Chuck Norris are good examples of this. There is a high chance that you have gym buddies. Share this video with them right now and let them know that they can find legit information on Brawny King Fitness. Click on that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell icon.